Welcome to the edge of the Sahara Desert. So I had a pretty profound experience this morning. I climbed the sand dunes in the dark and found the highest one I could, set up a camera to shoot the time lapse and just sat and watched the sun come up. And I put my earphones in and listened to the Star Wars score. And just as the sun was just peeking over the sand dunes, the Princess Leia theme played, and kind of felt like Luke looking up at the two suns. So here we are at the edge of the Sahara, which is amazing, and this is the backdrop that I've always wanted for the film. The problem is that we're working with vehicles that are older vehicles, heavy vehicles as well, so they can't drive on sand because, well, they would just get stuck and it'd be the end of the shoot. And I've got two of these and a Jeep, which will be a little bit more agile, but will be an older Jeep. The ground, what we film on, is really important. So as much as it'd be brilliant to imagine, trucks driving in the dunes and all this kind of stuff, it's just physically impossible. So what I'm going to do is have dunes in the background and then have harder ground. You can see behind me there's now a Jeep sort of driving through, and I actually love the dust kick up that comes out as you drive. It's pretty epic, and it also kind of makes sense to maybe why they miss when they're firing the gun, because I was trying to get run over. So yeah, so this is a pretty cool landscape, for the car chase to happen with the dunes as a background. And this hill here is really good for the start of the sequence. So when we're below the hill, we can see the car come over the hill, and it can be a good cut point from where the camp was into here.
To move it.
Yeah.
As I repeat again, my idea is just to find the place of the chase that is convenient, because I have to be sand on the background. Mm-hmm. Rock desert means a solid. Just around the corner we have to recreate something like this.
And just into the dunes, so we see the dune background.
Exactly. But this is something that is very easy just to... And we have to dress, thanks God that we have to dress just one.
Yeah, we can dress just one.
Just one.
Just one. And the another tent we can put just the nomad tent.
Nomad tents.
Whatever it is.
And they can be a mixture.
It's like some imperialistic people that are coming. Mm-hmm. My tent is the best tent of the group. And you live whatever you want in whatever way you prefer.
Yeah.
Means a nomad tent for the rest. My tent have to be, hero tent.
Yeah. And I think it'd be nice to have not just white tents. It's like this carpets and textures and the colour and vibrancy of the Sahara. Like the cheapest tent. And like they can be on sticks. So even if they blow away.
Also for the hero tent.
The hero tent can be a mixture.
White. But we need the white tissue on
ideally,
the background.
Yes. But so we can see shadows and silhouettes, because I had the idea of her at the desk and she's working, and we just see these shapes pass and running around, and we can hear
from inside to outside.
It's the Hitchcock of like. You can hear it, but you can't see it. And we were driving through that bit of the dunes, with the dunes on either side, and there was a really flat, there was a really nice level flat bit before we turned in. And I was crying, looking out the car, thinking, am I sacrificing, a more epic look of the film just for two vehicles? Is there something else they can be driving that means that we can, or is just shooting a car chase in sand? Because I'm just thinking out loud now.
This is a more creative question. It's not something that is involved with me as organizing things.
No, but it's just a case of your experience of driving in the desert. Like, what do you need? Big tires, you need 4x4, you need, but already that stretch we saw, with the flat and the dunes, great. Yeah. The rocks that we saw last night, great. I mean, you could combine those quite easily. It makes narrative sense. For example, camp sort of in the dunes, she escapes, comes out of the dunes, and then comes over that rise, and she's driving by the dunes, if leaving behind, and then and then we cut to those, the sand and those mountains as she approaches them. So it's almost like you had the camp here, and she's gone like this.
Here,
yeah, and she's gone like this, and then that rock's here.
Okay,
so it kind of, because the ground is that white, the white ground.
white.
So it will match. Well, I fell in love as soon as we drove in, and then the penny dropped. The ground is just soft. If I can do it with my hands. It's soft. There's no way heavy trucks can drive on this ground, let alone try and do a car chase here. And even I was thinking about maybe just doing the end, like using this as the sort of temple entrance, but I can't even get the trucks close because the nearest tarmac road is over there. In typical style of my amazing co-producer Stefano, he said, well, let's just build a road, which sounds very expensive, but in Morocco it is possible, which is a bit crazy to think that we could build a road just so I can shoot my car chase, like a 2 kilometre and a half road, and it would be a road that you wouldn't be able to see. The idea would be they would dig it up, put some rock down, and then they would cover it over with the same sort of stuff, so you wouldn't actually be able to see the actual road itself. So it would still feel like it's the middle of nowhere. It just means the trucks wouldn't get stuck. Maybe I should run a Kickstarter and then get you guys to vote for what the road should be. Roadie McRoadface. Or maybe Brexit Road. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call it. So just come back to this location because we saw it just as the sun was setting, so it's good to see it in daylight. It's a fascinating place. I mean, what I love is the rock that meets the sand, and it is probably the width of the back of a Star Destroyer. I think this would be cool for the moment where we see the ship rise, and for a few reasons. For the rock, and I feel like it's important to see the rock because of the cave. Now, we could do a matte painting of the back of the temple in a sand dune, and that's still a possibility, but I'm thinking possibly that if we see rock here naturally, then that will connect the geography of this place with the cave geography. And I'm also thinking about cheating geography. So earlier on, I shot some tests just of seeing the car driving next to the dunes. So what I'm thinking about doing is combining these two places. So you have this place, which is the temple, which is the place they're heading to. And then when you look this way, at the moment, it just looks blank. But from that angle, we'll shoot the Jeep so we see sand dunes. And then when we see the reverse, it'll feel like the Sahara's there. So when it edits together, you'll basically feel like there's desert all the way along, and then this interesting rock structure with the sand meeting the rock. I think that makes sense. I think that's a sequence. Okay. It's interesting when you see multiple locations and they kind of start to come together in your head. There's still compromises to be had. There's, ideally you'd find them all in one place, but it's been very tricky because of the ground we need to find. Welcome to Tatooine, the home of the Sarlacc pit, and Jabba the Hutt's house is just over there. What this does allow is for the camp. So the camp has vehicles that turn up. My opening shot is the idea of seeing, a desert landscape that you think is like another planet in Tatooine, and then we reveal Seth, our lovely villain, and then he walks out, and then you reveal trucks. So it's sort of gone from feeling like another planet, it's Star Wars, and then a face that could be a Star Wars character that's kind of tattooed, and then the reveal of these World War II trucks. So we're more grounded. We know we're on planet Earth, and then the shot reveals the camp in the background. So it's one of those sort of Spielbergian establishing shots where the camera doesn't cut and it develops things. It tells a story in one shot. So, but that's kind of tricky to do if you can't put trucks inside the dunes. But here has some interesting options. So, I mean, if you look at me here, you can see that, you know, the desert runs out. But if we just tilt round this way, you know, and we may have to add a few more dunes in the background, but to be honest, with focal length and things, it'll probably drop out and it'll just feel like the desert. And then down here, there's some hard ground for vehicles. So this could be a really cool place to do the opening shot. We're at the end of the scout, and we've found this place, which is pretty much good field of view for the car chase. And there are buildings there, and then there are more buildings there and things. But what is good about this is that we can cheat geography. So we can shoot the cars driving left to right, and then use those dunes as the background of that. And then on a slightly longer lens, all you'll see is a mass of dunes passing, so you won't know the geography. Then, when we got reverses on Ellie, sort of looking back, we can actually use that as a background and then come this way with the vehicles. I've done some tests on the GoPro to see kind of what you see and what you recognise and what you don't recognise. Cons are that, you know, I wanted sort of dunes to be closer, so when we got the drone we can kind of push over dunes to find the cars. Maybe those dunes need to be added in post. We should maybe shoot some plates and add them in later, but this seems like a good compromise. Now obviously there are other locations, you know, there's the one that I talked about where we might build a road, and which is more rocky, so I just need to weigh up the look, time, money, reality now, and basically take the photos back home and study them and come up with a sequence based on the, you know, the footage I've shot and the photos, and see what works best. And so when we're back on the shoot, you'll see whether it was actually did end up being this location or whether we did build a road, or both. A lot can happen in the production process, but for now we've got some good options to consider.